Welcome to this episode of CynSpeaks. In this episode, we're going to talk about social media, and we are going to talk about how the ego shows up on social media. This is a funny episode because you're going to be able to look at your Instagram and scroll through your feed and identify who is acting out of ego, and it's going to be fun. So let's talk about social media in general. So the concept of social media is to create relationships in this abstract world that doesn't really exist, but has felt so real throughout the years as you start to feel like you know people from their social media pages. And if you start to look at the presence that a lot of people have on their social media, it is based upon what they want the world to see. Their social media is not a complete reality, but it's enough to make you feel like you know this person and you know about their life and you get to see what they're doing. And a lot of the times you have no clue what their reality looks like. So you see celebrities that look like they have all these nice cars and they have all of this money and women and this lifestyle that looks so beautiful. And a lot of the time, that is not the reality. A lot of the time, the houses are leased, or the women are paid models, or even the money isn't real. Like it can go that far to use fake money in music videos. I've seen it. So like you think this is the lifestyle and this is real. It's really a facade a lot of the time. And even nowadays, it's hilarious because people think that it's real. It's so genuine. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, these people are people that deal with things. They deal with struggle. Also, some people have a social media presence that attracts haters, essentially, or negativity and negative comments, or they'll say something or post something, and this whole slew of people will jump on their post and comment with so much negativity. And that is sad because these are people. Like, these are real people with real feelings and real emotions. And the fact that people have taken their own life and felt that they had to go to that extreme because of the things that were said about them on social media. And this is celebrities and regular people and even kids. Like, it's crazy. This has become huge. So I have a couple of challenges for you. First, like, be mindful of like what you say and how you say it. And one of the great things about social media is that everybody gets a platform. And how you use that platform says a lot about you, but also, like, it says a lot about your future life and what that will look like, because you can use this platform. I've seen people make a lot of money through social media. I've seen people help a lot of people through social media. I've seen a lot of people harm and hurt people through social media. So you have the option to use this platform however you really want to, but be intentional with it. Make sure you're really clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're commenting, is that comment helpful? Is that thought going to help somebody? Is it going to add to something? Even a laugh sometimes can help people, but be careful that what you're saying isn't backhanded. Like, isn't a joke at the expense of another person. Like, think about what you're doing and saying, because it has a long-standing effect. Also, I know firsthand that most recruitment teams in HR, they actually look at social media pages. So what you're posting on social media, even if your profile, you think it's private, it might not be private, and what you post could get back and affect your career and your money at the end of the day. So think about that too. Like, I worked in HR for a long time and I worked as a recruiter, and personally, I didn't think it was important to look at social media pages, but some of the clients that I worked with did want to check social media spaces, especially with regards to leadership roles. If you're applying for a leadership position, they're going to look at your presence online and see if you're somebody that has ethics and morals and values that align with the organization. So if you're posting things that are constantly negative, or you're talking about a specific group of people or bashing people, that is potentially going to get back to your employer. It could. So think about it like that. Also, like, what you put out there stays forever. So if you have children or even your parents, like, they can find what you're posting or what you posted 10 years ago. Like, that stuff is still around sometimes. So be mindful of that. Our ego shows up in this social media world so huge, because we are, and I've done it before, it doesn't work for me anymore, but in the past, like, I had a social media page and it was all, okay, I'm going to post and I'm going to think about what other people are going to think of this. What are people going to think of this? Ooh, I need to post this card because then people will think this. I was literally living and moving in a way that was for other people. And it didn't work, because that's not how it's supposed to be. But especially in my journey through learning how to self-love, I had to really start to be mindful of this and how it was showing up for me. And my presence on social media, you guys can probably see, it's shifted just a little bit, because I'm now just being real with you guys and posting my real life. Like, I don't post a lot of things, but when I post, it's real. Sometimes I'll post and I'm not wearing makeup. That's real. Sometimes I don't wear makeup. So I understand how hard it is, especially when you're trying to grow a following or whatever it may be, to want to conform to these methods that work. But I don't think that's true or that works for everybody. And so just be mindful of your presence and the intention behind it. Also, like, this false confidence that comes from having a certain amount of followers. Like, if Instagram shut down tomorrow, would you still be happy, or would you freak out because your whole identity is gone? Like, think about that. In addition, like, people may have fake followers and fake money, like a fake life that they're putting on social media. So when you're looking at other people's pages, I say all this because I want you to realize, like, you may be comparing yourself to somebody else that isn't even portraying their reality. So going back to the self-love episode, if you haven't seen that or listened to that, go ahead and go back and listen to that, because we talk about this a little bit. But self-love is so important, because oftentimes we compare our entire being, entire existence to somebody's top 5%. That's not fair to you. So think about that. Like, you're going to be able to look at people's pages and be like, oh, well, they live out of ego, because they're not posting anything to help the world. They're just posting things to show how great their life is, and they're not using this platform to help people. And we could look at that and we could judge, right? And it's hard not to do that, but we could look at that and we could judge. Or we could look at that and be like, all right, so let me learn something from this. I want to use my platform to help people, or whatever it may be. So just be mindful that the ego shows up in social media so significantly. Just make sure you're separating it from reality. Make sure you're being mindful that social media is a version of reality, but it's not necessarily reality. So be mindful of that. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to other people. Remember that there are typically people behind these social media pages. So if you're bashing people or you're attacking people verbally, like, that does harm to a lot of people. So be mindful of how you're using this platform, how your ego and heart are showing up with your use of the platform, and this world that we've created, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. If you were around when the internet started, right? The internet started to become mainstream in what was that, the 90s, the early 90s. It's crazy because now internet is everywhere. It is a requirement everywhere. And I remember dial-up. I'm sure some of you guys do. So we've come so far. It's pretty awesome to look at and to think, but also we've also come so far from interactions and real interactions with others. One other thing is phones. I want to talk a little bit about phones, and the ability to disconnect from our phones is becoming more of a challenge, and myself included, I've had to force myself when I'm with people, my kids, my friends, to attempt to be much more present and in the moment and enjoy and experience the moments, because those moments, even if you document them on social media, you can remember them, but you only get to experience them once in that moment. So putting the phone down and logging off of Instagram, or just like putting your phone down, period, will kind of disconnect you from everything and just let you live in the moment. Like practicing that mindfulness and living in the moment is so good. It feels so good. It feels so good to live in the moment and really enjoy quality time and company with other people. With regards to children, I cannot tell you how important this is. And I realized this from my own, we'll say, mistake. And that's because I was not fully giving my attention to my kids when they were talking to me. Now, they could be talking to me about their little TV show. My youngest son loves Power Rangers. That is his favorite show. And ironically enough, it was one of my favorites as a kid too. So we actually have something that we can connect and relate on. But because I would have my phone in my hand, like he would say, Mom, Mom, Mom. Like it keep calling me. I'm looking at him. But I learned, you know what? I'm going to put this phone down, because I don't ever want him to think that my phone is more important to me than listening to his little story about his little show that he loves. Also, with my 7 and 8-year-old, I had to start thinking about that too, because I want them to know that they're the most important thing to me, and that I'm going to stop and listen to them no matter what I have going on. I may have to tell them to wait a few minutes and set that boundary, but if it's urgent, like, I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to be present. I'm going to listen to them. So I started to make it a habit to just focus on the moment and really listen without having my phone in my hand. And that's challenging for some people, but you'll watch the quality of your interactions improve and increase when you start to be really present and mindful and intentional with the time that you spend with people, and not let technology pull us away from interactions and connections, but actually pull us closer to people that we may not be physically close with. So it can be a double-edged sword, but we want to be mindful of that and just recognize the truth, recognize that social media is what it is. It's going to be there. But just remember to separate it from real life and not forget that you have people in front of you that love you and want your time and attention, and see if that helps the quality of interactions with your loved ones. That's it for now. Thank you so much for joining. As always, add me on Instagram at Cynamon Voe, #CynSpeaks for the podcast. If you repost anything, make sure you tag me so that I can show love. Keep me posted on how these episodes are helping you, and I really hope that they are. That's my whole purpose of doing this, is to help. So I hope these episodes are helping you. Make sure you share them if they're helping you. That's it for now.